Leader of the operation on Crete was Lieutenant Patrick Leigh Fermor, not the classic type of soldier.
Paddy was an adventurer. He had survived walking across Europe. He survived crossing borders. He walked from northern Europe right to somewhere to Greece. He was the ideal man. He'd go in, prove to the Greeks that the Brits were there backing them.
Leigh Fermor's adventures continued on Crete and its rugged landscape. Today, Derek Campbell is recceing his own team's mountain expedition, while historians Nikos and Katerina examine a one-of-a-kind archive treasure. Photos taken by the operation's second-in-command, Captain William Moss. Photographs taken during the actual undercover mission. These photos provide crucial clues to the agent's mountain route.
Let's connect the photos with this route.
Probably Moss shot the first photo when they were all together.
And then they climbed out in the top of the mountains through the snow fields. They were in a very miserable situation. It was a lot of raining, they were wet, without food. They had to follow this route, and they had no information about what happened exactly behind them.
But the historians can only follow the photo trail so far. Moss stopped taking photos when they were hunted by German troops through the mountains. How could the British agents snatch Hitler's general right from under the noses of the Nazi enemy? Our explorers are in the Cretan mountains, where the British agents are said to have had a secret HQ for planning the capture of Nazi General Heinrich Kreiper. From the island's landing beach, the agents had sneaked further north to a hideout in the mountains. Historians Nikos and Katerina are guided by a shepherd whose grandfather helped to hide the British. In 1944, the area was a perfect retreat, a stronghold for Cretan resistance fighters, but not far away from the Nazi general's HQ.
Mr. Sifakis told to me that this tree was the observation point in a big area around, because they could see everybody that could come from every direction.
Finally, the historians discover the commando team's mountain headquarters.
In front of this.
Wartime photos identify the stone hut, also used by Cretan rebels who support the capturing plot. With the help of local resistance fighters, British agents Patrick Leigh Fermor and William Moss are looking for the weak spot in Kreiper's defences.
How do we get our way through the mountains?
Anybody waiting for us?
The resistance fighters will help the British agents get away after the kidnap.
We don't have any Germans on our way.
Their first plan is to snatch the general in his headquarters just south of the city of Heraklion. The German staff is secured by a garrison of 15,000 German soldiers. The British agents spy on the headquarters and the general's private villa a few kilometers north of them. More than 65 years later, on the site of the former German headquarters, historian Katerina meets Despina, whose father worked undercover at General Kreiper's casino. Did he help bring the commando team inside?
She says that Kreiper used to come here every evening. He played piano when he liked to, or he played cards. One night, Leigh Fermor went to her house, to her father, and he asked him how could he get into this house where the General Kreiper was. She says that there were many guards over here in front of this door and another one over there on the square. It was very difficult for somebody to come here who was not German.
The security at the general's HQ was too tight. The operatives had to find another way to capture him.
Paddy recognized the best way to catch somebody is to be disguised, stop the car, picking their top general.
Now they plan to attack Kreiper on the road,
You're looking good.
disguised as German military police. Being a commando carries a fatal risk. If they're caught, it will be the death sentence. In October 1942, Hitler gave the order, all enemies on commando missions, whether armed or unarmed, are to be slaughtered to the last man.
It was one of those Hitler's brutality ideas. If you find an enemy in plain clothes, you can say he's a spy. And under that, you can say, I'm executing spies. That's one way of doing it, by killing them. And by killing others, or letting them know, if you dare to come, you'll get shot.
The best spot to stop the general's car turned out to be a road junction between Kreiper's HQ, south of Heraklion, and his private villa. Historians Nikos and Katerina are visiting the original site the British agents chose to ambush the general's car.
In this place, I think this was a place.
And this was the direction of the car.
Halt!
Was ist los?
General Kreiper, consider yourself my prisoner of war.
The commandos use the general's car to trick the Germans. Nazi control points have orders not to stop their general's limousine. While Captain Moss walks the general into the mountains, Lee Firmer drives the German car to the north coast. The agent leaves a letter to the Germans pretending he has already taken the general off the island. He ends with typical British humour, P.S. We are very sorry to have to leave this beautiful car behind. The trick doesn't last. Soon thousands of German soldiers are hunting the agents, who have to cross the island's inner mountain range to a pickup area on the south coast. Today, the expert team is on their way to Mount Ida. Ex-Special Forces Derek Campbell wants to find out how the operatives managed in this extreme terrain.
They came through this little cut that's right here between these two peaks. So they stayed along this ridge line here.
They followed this route to the south.
It's very...
This peak, is that one?
Yeah. Yes.
They were doing this at night, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Just looking at this terrain here as it's coming through here. It's very rocky. They had to be in shape to do that.
This photograph is after they have left the first hideout. Of course, they walk in the dark, and there is snow all around. It was April, and it's quite high.
During daylight, the commando team have to be alert to German planes sent out to spot them. With the help of Cretan rebels, agents Moss and Lee Firmer are rushing through the foothills of Mount Ida, the highest on the island. They have to meet up with other rebels who can lead them over the mountain ridge to the south coast. In 2 days, they are supposed to be picked up by British speedboats. The 48-year-old general now becomes a heavy burden. He seems to be trying to slow down the commandos' escape.
Come on, General!
To cross Mount Ida for the rendezvous in the south, there is only one shortcut, a narrow passage at almost 2,500 meters. Today, the expert team follows the exact route of the commandos.
Now, was there a trail that they had used?
This period there was not a road like this. It was just the landscape as you can see around.
This is the only pass to the south.
The Germans only thought that people brought their shepherds up here. That's why they didn't come here, correct? Because there's nothing here.
It was very difficult. They had to walk and start controlling everything in their passage. They had to control houses. They had to control hideouts like little valleys. They walked beside each other in a distance of 50 meters. They could not come very fast, 6 or 7 hours.
So the British agents safely crossed Mount Ida to a hidden wireless station. Here they face a new challenge. They will not make it in time to meet the speedboats for their escape to Cairo.
This bloody thing doesn't work.
They cannot contact their pickup boat and are stranded on the enemy's island. The Germans are closing in. For 3 days, the commandos are completely surrounded by Nazi troops who want to cut them off from the coast. One setback follows another. On a steep descent, General Kreiper injures his leg.
Is that okay, General?
Ja, danke.
Their food supply is running out. Morale is low. Their mission is only one step from disaster. May the 12th, 1944. German forces catch up with the agents. A fierce battle erupts. Today, the expert team debates what happened in that fierce encounter.
At the point where they almost got captured, there was a German convoy that came.
Yes.
And the partisans stopped this convoy with machine gun fire and grenades that gave them almost a clear shot to get down to the escape beach.
The mission is coming to a climax. The Nazi troops are completely taken by surprise.
The Germans really did not know what they were up against, where the British knew how to deal with each situation simply because the months of training for guerrilla operations. The diversions took the heat off them for a while.
Out in a secret bay, the British agents push their dinghies into the sea. One of the Navy soldiers who was to evacuate them by speedboat tells his story on camera for the first time.
I was a driver. I was told we got some brown jobs, they used to call the army. There are some nutters, just make sure that they get off there.
Finally, the agents escape the German-held island.
What happened was either scaring, to put it bluntly, when you have to go, and you push your engines up and you go like the clappers. The speed of these boats is quite good.
In their headquarters in Egypt, the British present General Kreiper to the press as a major propaganda coup over Nazi Germany.
It was a morale buster for the Germans, realizing that one of their generals could get taken from right under their noses. It gave the Allies a deceptive move, knowing that it would keep the Germans' troops here and not having them sent to the Normandy and beaches where the eventual large-scale invasion did take place.
The success of the capture mission struck the Nazis just 23 days before the final invasion. In the lead-up to D-Day, British commandos set out one last time to capture or kill Nazi General Erwin Rommel in his Castle HQ in France. Meanwhile, US Rangers first have to knock out a giant enemy gun battery covering Omaha Beach. Will Allied commandos finally beat their old enemy? Normandy, 1944. On the eve of D-Day, Allied agents plan an ultimate mission to kidnap or kill an old enemy. General Erwin Rommel is now in charge of fighting back the invasion.
The Allies were obsessed with Rommel. I think, they feared Rommel. They thought he was, by far the most able of all the Nazi generals.
Before the British could reach Rommel, US Rangers had to face an almost overwhelming threat. The gun batteries of Pointe du Hoc, 6 155mm cannons high on a cliff, looking down on Utah and Omaha Beach.
These guns could range in both directions. So it was absolutely critical that these guns be knocked out in order that we have success on Omaha Beach.
Dwight Anderson, director of the Normandy American Cemetery, knows how Ranger veterans assaulted the cliff guns to ease the way for the ultimate mission to get Rommel.
The Rangers had special devices that would rocket propel the hooks up here. The Germans were in fact throwing hand grenades down. There was a German machine gun back over here to our right, which had them under fire. And as you can well imagine, the Germans were trying to cut some of the ropes as they were coming up.
The Germans had pulled back the guns with wagons from the cliff top into a hideout, but the Rangers tracked them down.
The German artillerymen were not, in fact, on the guns. They were coming out of their hide position, realizing that the naval bombardment was over, and they were getting into formation. And they were about 200 meters, in fact, from where First Sergeant Rommel discovered the guns. It was at that point he would have opened the breech, as you see here, and placed a thermite grenade inside. Once that happens, the cannon is essentially useless.
The Rangers' triumph over the Nazi shore battery at Point du Hoc eases the way for British paratroopers to hunt down General Rommel. In a small village west of Paris, Hitler's general is hiding in a medieval castle.
In 1944, they were looking for a chance to kill Rommel because they thought getting Rommel in this medieval castle in France could have made a difference to the outcome of the war.
It seems impossible to knock out Rommel inside his castle because he could easily retreat down into the dungeons. But the French resistance radios the Nazi general's weak spot: his frequent walks in the local woods. The SAS paratroopers are led by Franco-American Lieutenant Jack Lee, but fate plays a trick on them yet again.
The irony is, by the time the SAS operation went into the field, Rommel had already been badly injured by a Spitfire in his car while driving along the road. So this was the irony. Rommel was really finished and never went back into action.
The myth of Rommel's invincibility faded, while the courage of the special forces of World War II became legion. Their wartime missions left a legacy of daring and determination emulated by the special forces of today.